Hey, it's Jahara. Welcome back to my channel, to the Witchy Reader. So I was originally going to do a TBR and the wrap up, but then when I was looking at what I read, I realized I only read 3 books last month because I had a crappy month, not just reading wise personally, a lot was going on, so I didn't read that much. I plan to read a lot more, but things happen. And I don't know how much I'm going to read this month. It really depends, because this month is still, it's better than last month, but still kind of crappy, so we'll see how much I read, but I have a few books that I do want to read, so I decided to do my wrap up and TBR in one video this month, since I only had 3 books for last month. So last month I read, I was originally going to do Sapphic September, but as you might have seen if you watched my TBR video, but that did not end up happening because, like I said, a lot of crap happened, and it didn't happen. I did read one Sapphic book though, and that was Girls at the Edge of the World. And I've never heard of this book before, but I saw it in the library and it's Sapphic, and I was like, hey, why not? But basically, it was about the world floods every like couple hundred years, I think, and wipes out almost everyone, and the palace can save only so much people, so there's this whole thing where they put a certain amount of people on a boat to survive the flood, and then everyone else will basically have to drown. So there's 2 main characters, Natasha and Ella, and Natasha um wants to marry the king because her and her girls are entertainers. They're called flyers, and so but she found out the flyers by being up in the palace and working for the palace, they may not be able to be on the boat. So she already had a crush on the king to begin with, and he already liked her. So she wanted to try to see if she can marry him, because then she'll become queen, so she'll get an immediate spot, and she could possibly get a spot for her girls because her girls are very important to her, and so that's what she was working at. But then Ella, they needed a new flyer, and Ella was working hard to become that new flyer, but not because she wants to be on the boat or because she wants to uh, be a flyer. Like, it's not her passion like it is for some of the other girls who are flyers. She wants to get close to the king so that she can kill him because he killed his sister who she was in love with. But then obviously you guys can probably see where this is going. Natasha and Ella end up falling in love despite everything. Natasha didn't realize she liked girls until she met Ella. Ella obviously already knew, but couldn't and was hated that she was falling for Natasha, especially after she thought she'd never feel anyway after I forgot the king's sister's name, but yeah. And you never really get to find out if they survived the flood because Ella had to kind of flee because she got caught without killing the king. She didn't kill the king, but she was discovered and arrested. And Natasha ends up leaving the Flyers to go with her, and they leave on a boat, and that's kind of how it ends. So interesting. But I liked the book. It was a lot better than I thought it would be, and I ended up rating it 4 stars. And then I also read this book I've heard of, but I never really cared to read it. But I saw the library, and like I said, I was going through a lot of things. I couldn't exactly read KU at the moment, and there wasn't much I could do. So I was just trying to find some library books, and then I saw this one. I was like, hey, why not finally read it? I've heard about it a lot on BookTube, and that book is Cinderella is Dead. I ended up liking that a lot more than I ever thought I would. I thought it was really interesting. Oh wait, I said I only read one Sapphic book. That's wrong. I forgot this book is also Sapphic. But yeah, and basically, it's 100 years since the whole Cinderella thing happened, but then the king twists it into something else, so that now every once a girl turns of age, she goes to this annual ball that happens every year where they are picked by men, and if they are not picked, they are ostracized and outcast because they only have like 3 chances to go to 3 different balls, and they kind of just sort of disappear after that. And yeah, So she ends up running away from the ball because she was in love with her best friend anyways, and her best friend is a lot more scared and thinks that their feelings for each other is wrong, where she knows it's not. So she ends up running from the ball because she could handle that. And then especially since because she did have a plan with a new friend she made who is gay, where they could marry each other, and then that way she doesn't have to deal with some sort of jerk who would hurt her. But then that ends up falling through. He gets in prison. It's a whole thing. And so she runs away and then meets Constance, the last known descendant of one of these stepsisters. They changed the stepsister's name. I think this one, I don't know why, but I have a feeling that this is supposed to be Drizella, but her name on here is Gabrielle. But yeah, and so they decide to fight to um, bring down this awful, awful tradition and bring down the king. There are some twists that I did not see coming. Like so many different twists that had me shook. Like I did not see them coming. There was at least like I think like a good three twists that I would never have guessed. They had me shook. They had me not wanting to stop reading because I could not believe that that actually happened. So yeah, I ended up rating it 4 stars. It was a lot better than I thought it would be, and I definitely highly recommend it. Like I said, I could not put it down. I was hooked. Um, and then the other book, which was my favorite read of the month, and it actually might be one of my favorite reads of the year, which surprised me because most of the time my favorite reads of the year are usually some sort of fantasy. I do have a horror book that's my favorite read of the year. I am branching out a little bit more from fantasy, but mostly if I branch out, it's gonna be like horror or mystery because those are my second and third favorite genres. Or maybe they're tied for second. I don't really know which one I like more. If you ask me, actually, I think I might like horror because I love horror movies. But yeah, I like mystery too, and I love watching horror and watching mystery, but I don't read them very often because I usually stay in fantasy when it comes to books. But I am reading horror and mystery a little bit more, and I'm enjoying it. And yeah, so it's been fun. And this is a trilogy. I'm currently reading book two. It's called One of Us Lying, and I've heard the name, and I've definitely seen the cover. It's also a Peacock original series, which I plan to watch soon. Um, and yeah, uh, and I was hooked from the very beginning, and I did not want to put this book down. This was definitely my favorite read of the month, probably one of my favorite reads of the year. I actually really loved it, and um, it always had me guessing like who the killer could be, and what actually turned out to be what actually ended up happening was not what I imagined, but I was wow, it was just amazing. And the second book I am still enjoying. I'm not liking it as much, maybe it's because there are a new set of main characters, and even though these characters are alright, they don't have me I don't love them like I love the group in the first book. The group in the first book is still on here, but not the main characters, because it's about one of the main characters in the first book, little sister, and a couple friends she makes. So yeah. Um. So yeah. Where is that book? It's in my purse. Ugh. So yeah, this I don't have the copy of the first book anymore because it's at the library, but I have this. One of Us is Next, which I started reading last month, and I am enjoying it. Probably won't be 5 stars. I'm probably gonna have it be 4 stars, but I am still really enjoying it. Like I said, because I'm very invested in this new, I guess, game, and it's very weird and very kind of different vibes from the first book, but I'm digging it. And yeah, I like I said, I don't think it's as good as the first book, but I am still enjoying it, and I'm still pretty much hooked and wanting to know what is going to happen. So yeah. Um, and then I hope to read the third. So yeah, that was my wrap up. So basically, in One of Us Lying, 'cause I didn't really explain it. There it's kind of like the Breakfast Club. Like there's the outcast, the jock, the criminal, the princess, the brain. So yeah, and but the outcast died, and he has a blog, and everyone pretty much hates him because he always spills everyone's secrets. Somehow he finds out everyone's darkest secrets, despite them being very secretive about him, obviously. And he's very good about finding people's secrets. And then he found out the main group. So they go to detention. He dies, and it's classified as murder. and the other four, turns out he had was going to post their biggest secrets in his next blog. Um, and it was so interesting. Like I was so wanting to know what their secrets even were, and then I was so interested in who was the killer. And my favorite character ended up being Addie, who was the princess. I feel like she had such a good character development that I absolutely loved. Um, so yeah, and I am a little nervous about watching the TV show because I'm just afraid they're not going to do her character development right. If that makes sense. Like this is one moment, and I know it doesn't sound big if you just. But if you read between the lines, it's actually a very crucial moment for her character, and it's when she was in a pretty much abusive relationship. I don't think she realized it because it wasn't like hitting abusive, but it was still abusive. He was very controlling, and um, there's this moment they're broken up, and one thing she mentioned from meeting her is that everyone's very obsessed with her hair. She has this glamorous hair, and it's supposed to be the best part of her. Her mom says that, her ex-boyfriend said that, so she ends up chopping off her hair, and I'm afraid the TV show won't do that, even though I feel like it's a very crucial moment for her character development. But we'll see. I'm gonna watch the show and then I'll probably do a video based on it, and if I liked it, if I thought it was a good addition, the changes I liked, the changes I disliked. So yeah. But anyways, moving on. So I do plan to finish One of Us is Next and the last book in the trilogy, One of Us is Back, over this month. Um, and then I also want to read books 3 and 4 of Towers of Memory series before book 5 is out, and I want to read those soon. I wanted to read them last month, but like I said, the month ended up being very, very crappy. I was barely able to read at all, and but yeah, so I definitely want to finish those books this month. I definitely want to at least read third book this week because I've been really very enjoying that series, and I want to catch up on it because I'm so excited for books 3 and 4. Um, I also want to read Good Girl Bad Blood, which is the second book in A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. I did my best friend was here visiting. She was staying with me, and we did a video together, so you might have saw that. But we went to Barnes Noble, and she bought me this book. It's the second book in the trilogy. I read the first book a couple months ago, and then I got this last month, but like I said, it was a crowded month, so I didn't end up getting to read it. But I want to read it this month and see if I can get a copy of the third book and read that as well. So I'm very excited to see that and see how the mystery continues. So yeah, and I want to read The Whispers. I got this for free, and it was the only book there that seemed interesting out of the free books. And it says 11-year-old Riley knows a thing or two about wishes. Ever since his mom disappeared, all he's been doing is wishing, wishing for a return, wishing he stopped wetting the bed, and wishing his dad would love him again. With the police investigation stalled, Riley is desperate for answers and worried his mother might soon be out of time. So he turns to the Whispers, mythical wood creatures who will grant your heart's desire if you bring them tribute. It's a story his mother used to tell him every night. He never really believed that they were real until one day when he hears them call to him, telling him his mother is near. I was like, that sounds kind of interesting. Middle grade read, and I'm gonna check it out. Whether or not I get to it this month is a whole other thing, but we shall see. And then I also want to read. This is a series. I think the first 5 books are out. I don't think the 6th book is out yet. I might be wrong. I'll have to look that up. But I own the first 3. I've read the first book, but that was like a year or so ago. And then I own books 2 and 3 now, and I want to reread the first book because I only read it once and I don't really remember it that much, and then read book 2. And book 3, my sister actually has it right now because she read the first 2 books and now she's reading the third book. So hopefully she finishes it soon so I can read it as well. And then I want to get copies of books 4 and 5 to read them, and 6 if that's out. And it is Aaron Hunter's newest series, and anyone who knows me knows how much I love Aaron Hunter. Aaron Hunter's actually a fake name. It's like 3, I want to say 3, maybe 4 authors working together to write these series. And anyone who knows me knows Seekers is one of my favorite books of all time. I am obsessed with it so much. It's the only, I feel like it's the only non-fantasy book I would put that high, but never really considered it fantasy until I started thinking about it deeper. I was like, technically, there is a fantasy element 'cause one of the main characters is a shapeshifter, so there is a little fantasy if you think about it. But yeah, this one is also about bears, and anyone who also knows me knows I'm obsessed with bears. I'm wearing bears right now. I have a bear picture there. I have more in storage, and a lot of my things are in storage right now because we haven't been able to bring them down yet. But I have so many bear stuffed animals that it would probably cover up half this room. I have many, many, many bear little antiques, and I have like a panda bear that's like see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. Because bears, I've been obsessed with since I was little. And yeah, I also have skeletons of see no evil and stuff because I'm obsessed with skeletons too. But that's only been the last several years. But anyways, moving on from my little whatever. I want to read the series um, because Aaron Hunter is my favorite author, and I'm absolutely loving this series. I remember loving book one. It was one of my favorite reads of the year that I read it. I don't remember if it was last year or the year before, but um, I rated it 5 stars, and I'm excited to reread the first book and then read books 2 and 3, and hopefully books 4, 5, and 6 so I can get copies of them. And yeah, I hope the series keeps going and becomes long because their own Aaron Hunter's longest series is Warriors, which there's so many books, which I love Warriors. I'm still currently reading that. But my favorite Secrets series is Secrets, and I feel like it's just so underrated, and I need more love. But yeah, so that's what I plan to read, and that's what I read last month. So thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and comment what you read last month and what you plan to read this month, and I will chat with you guys below in the comments. Until next time.